excited to share with you the tips that I have for candidate process mastery. When you're a headhunter, it's critical to make sure that your systems set you up for success. And what I've always done, especially since I serve extremely candidate-tight markets, is set very clear follow-up processes so that there's no confusion between me and my candidate of what is going on. The first thing to do after you get a candidate on the phone that you connect with and now you see some sort of interest in is to get their contact details. You may be calling them off of, a main line, I don't know. But if you don't have their cell phone number, get it. If you don't have their personal email, get it. And you have to explain to them why you need this information, or else they may not feel comfortable and not give it to you. So usually what I try to do is I let them know, hey, I actually have a process. I really enjoyed this conversation. I'd love for you to have me in your contacts, and I'm gonna send you a follow-up email that has some more information about my practice, about how I work. I also have a referral program that I love to make sure you have, and then we can take it from there. That way you can easily refer to this information. I also have a free resume guide that I think you'll find interesting, especially if down the line, on the rare day that you have some time, you can work on your resume. So that's typically what I explain to candidates, and it works. They always give me their contact details, and I always specify, I don't want work emails. This is a confidential call. I love to make sure we can stay in touch off the record. And that again just builds the trust. It makes them know that you're serious, that this isn't just some random willy-nilly email chain. You actually are going to guard their data and information very well. So that would be the first step, is to get relevant, current contact details. And of course, repeat. Make sure that you got the right email address and that you have the right number to forever reach them at. And I always let my candidates know, hey, this is my cell. If you need to reach me, you can reach me anytime. You can text me. I love text. You can email me. You can do whatever you want. I'm fully available to communicate and catch up. The second tip I have for you is to have some sort of follow-up documents, just like the ones I mentioned. Now, specifically for what I do, since I recruit top billers, I recruit recruiters on the agency side, there has always been a need to create some sort of billing sheet, especially if you're a direct hire headhunter. You're supposed to have pretty measurable starters, right? Most people, if you're in a high-end direct hire niche, you're not gonna have more than like 25 to 30, maybe 45 deals. So for especially direct hire, you should have a pretty good running list of your billings. If you're a temp biller, sometimes people have their ATS systems, their candidate tracking or whatever you want to call this stuff. They have some sort of customer relationship management tool that will track their weekly spread. So if you're a perm biller, you usually have a billing sheet. If you're a temp biller, you can have, your weekly spread screenshot. It really rightly doesn't matter. The point is you have some sort of industry standard, industry specific information. For instance, when I used to recruit for pharma and life sciences, I had the candidates give me their publications list, and I left that in the resume. I put that at the end, sort of like a glossary. So every single market has different things that are of importance for that particular market, and you definitely need to hopefully help your candidate with their resume, and that has always been something I'm very proud of doing and very happy to do, because it gives me the upper hand when I prospect a candidate. And how do candidates say no to a free resume rewrite? So they usually don't say no, and I am their go-to headhunter. And this is, I cannot believe the step that so many recruiters miss out on. Just a simple 15 to 20 minutes of working on someone's resume can get you their loyalty and get you first right to represent. It's a no-brainer. So I'm always happy to give the candidate my resume template just to let them know this is what it's going to kind of look like. And then the second document is an actual resume of my own. That way they can see exactly what the finished product is going to look like. Another document I'll send them is a how to work with DG Recruit pamphlet. And nowadays with Canva and other really easy design tools, you should be able to do this without your firm having to help you do it or without you having to hire a marketing agency. It's very simple. You just let them know this is how the representation process works. And that's where I explain exclusivity. That's where I explain people, this is how you want to go about being represented by us. These are the do's and don'ts. This is how you can expect the process to be. So this little pamphlet is good enough for you to customize, and you should create your own. And of course, mine are, really reserved for my clients and candidates. But it's not a rocket science document. You just have to write a good version that's tailored to your practice of what you're actually gonna do for the candidate. Because just because I'm willing to do certain things and I operate a certain way doesn't mean you will. So you have to figure out what is your bespoke methodology and process that you feel comfortable promising to your network each and every time. So once you create this how to work with you document, that's another piece that you can leave with the candidate. Another document that I have is, like I mentioned, a resume template, a resume sample, and now also a resume guide. I have my own resume guide because I believe strongly in the information that I personally have that has worked for me. And in my guide, I talk about the things that I think are important in a resume and what are some do's and don'ts customized to my current market. Obviously, if I'm recruiting for a pharmaceutical executive, it's gonna be totally different than recruiting a top-line sales producer at a recruitment firm. So every document, again, has to be bespoke to your actual market so that when customers read it, it's immediately relevant to their specialism. This is, again, why it's critical to be a niche recruiter. You cannot recruit for the janitor, the lawyer, and the scientist, and the doctor, and the, biostatistician, and the accountant all at the same time. This is not possible. This is called driving yourself crazy and having zero economies of scale. So it's got to be tailored to your core market, your market of expertise, where you are the authority and clearly the competitor that is at the highest level, where it benefits the candidate to leverage your knowledge in that specific field. Another very important tip to kind of close out the process is to make sure that your candidate got your email. And so it's all these little things that really determine your success, because it's really just diligence, right? Recruitment is about caring, is about really dotting your I's and crossing your T's. And what I noticed before was some of my emails were going to spam. I used to send out a lot of email newsletters, and apparently that landed me in a lot of spam inboxes. So now it's my default process. Every time I finish talking to the candidate on the phone, I let them know, hey, I'm gonna send you a bunch of stuff. I need to make sure I get your email right. Then I send them a sort of cookie cutter email like, hey, thank you for talking. I'm so glad to meet you. Here are some I'm so glad to meet you. Here are some documents for you to review. And thank you so much. Look forward to staying in touch. Here's my resume guide. And also my referral program, blah, blah, blah. So it's usually a cookie cutter message, and I customize it depending on the situation. Hope you have a nice weekend. It was nice talking to you yesterday, whatever have you, right? You make it customized so that the email is, very, very much tailored. So the candidate also knows that you're not just spamming this out. There is still that personal connection because you're genuinely writing it. And then once you send it, you need to text the candidate. Hey, did you get my email? And the reason you want to do that is A, it gives you an excuse to connect with them. B, it gives you an excuse to text them. Hopefully they will save your number. And then also it just shows them that you give a damn, right? You're like, hey, I want to make sure you got my email. Did you get it? It was really nice to meet you. And I do this sometimes because sometimes I'm genuinely busy during the day. And I'll send an email relatively late, whether it's late at night or it's the next day. If it's the next day, I'll let them know, hey, I'm so sorry I couldn't get this to you earlier. If it's a couple days after, hey, sorry about the weekend, I was traveling. I just want to make sure you got my email, right? That's just a note to say, hey, I'm thinking of you. Hey, I genuinely want you to have my contact details, and I want to make sure you got it, right? So it's just checking in, making the candidate feel that, you guys are a real connection now. It's not just strangers anymore. You're moving them up that cycle of relationship from stranger to hopefully friend to hopefully future placement, or at the very least cordial, contacts from the same industry that highly respect one another. Once you have everything sent, now you have all your channels available to you. Now you can text them because you have a text chain. Now you can email them because you have an email chain. Now your lines of communication are fully open beyond what is on LinkedIn, beyond what is on whatever platform you initially reached out to connect with this candidate on, which also protects them from a confidentiality perspective, because sometimes people do get nervous about if their company is looking at their stuff or not. I hope this was helpful in just giving you some ideas of how to design your own post-call process. But these are the main points that I try to stick with because it has helped me stay top of mind with my candidates. And just again, tell them that I love them. I got you on my mind. I'm thinking of you. Right? And it's all these little things that you do that build that loyalty, build that rapport, build that relationship so that you can be a resource for them.